So I am now at the headquarters of BMW Group Malaysia to pick up the BMW iX. This is my second encounter with the iX. The vehicle that we are testing today is the eDrive50. It is the middle child of a three-variant range that starts with the eDrive40 that's available in two trim levels, Entry and Sport. Offers you 326 horsepower, 400 kilometers of cruising range. Then at the top end of the spectrum, we have the M60 model. Here in the eDrive50, you get 526 horsepower, over 600 kilometers of cruising range WLTP cycle, and it costs you just under 550,000 ringgit. So in today's video, we want to answer the question, is the iX eDrive50 here worth a premium of 150 to 200,000 ringgit over the eDrive40 for an additional 200 horsepower and 200 kilometers of range? Let's find out. So what is the big difference between driving the eDrive50 versus the eDrive40? Well, I can tell you this, from a driving feel perspective, you know, going in this kind of urban roads, I don't feel a damn difference, right? I mean, yes, it's 300 horsepower to 500 horsepower, but in city day-to-day driving, 300 horsepower in all this congested PJKL traffic, what's the difference? There is no difference. And most of the time when I had this car, I was going in standstill traffic. In all honesty, even if this car had 250 horsepower, wouldn't have been a deal breaker at all. But the key point here is that here in the eDrive50, you get that extra 200 kilometers on range in the WLTP cycle. Now that is something that you can use on a day-to-day basis, because let's put it this way, okay? Now, I've gathered some anecdotal evidence from other peers who have driven this car. And the eDrive40, according to most of them, you get about 300 kilometers of real-world range versus 400 plus kilometers here in the eDrive50. Now, so means that's about a difference of about 100 to 150 kilometers real-world, 200 kilometers in the WLTP cycle. And here's the thing, though, even if it's just 100 kilometers, that additional 100 kilometers gives you a lot more options. What it means is that when you use this car on a day-to-day basis, you are able to go further without needing to recharge. You are able to go on a longer time frame without needing to recharge. When you go on an outstation drive, you can conceivably take this car one state further compared to the eDrive40. Now, of course, there's still that planning that needs to be involved, but the fact of the matter is that additional 150,000 ringgit you spend on this eDrive50 gives you options. It buys back your time because it reduces the frequency of you needing to recharge. And let's put it this way, those of you who are shopping in the price bracket of a BMW iX, chances are you are of that level of people whereby that time that you save in one or two recharge cycle less, you probably would have earned back that 150,000 ringgit already. Okay, so the thing is, if you are somebody who value your time significantly more than you value your money, there is a case actually to spend that additional 150,000 ringgit for that 200 kilometers of range, simply because it saves you time and it gives you additional options in your day-to-day commute. Let's take my experience with this car, for example. Yesterday, I collected this car from Cyberjaya. I drove it to USJ, then to Sungai Besi, then to KLGCC, and back home to PJ. Now, This morning, I left PJ. I went to PJ Old Town. Now I am heading to USJ, and then after that, from USJ, I am going to pick up my daughter from her art class in PJ, and then later in the afternoon, I'll be passing this car over to Bobby. At this point in time, with all that commute done, I still have 70% of battery left. I still have 340 kilometers indicated in the trip computer projection. Now, if I were to have done all that routine on the eDrive50 model, now let's assume that the difference is just only 100 kilometers. Now, if I am left with just 240 kilometers of range and I am passing the car to Bobby later, and later on Monday, this car needs to go back to Cyberjaya, somewhere along the way, someone is going to need to spend half an hour at a recharge station to recharge the car. But now, because of this additional range, there is a chance we don't have to do that. And that is time, precious time saved. So now when we come to the driving experience of the iX, well, there's nothing new really to report compared to that of the eDrive40 coming to the eDrive50. In terms, you're asking me about things like, handling lah, ride comfort lah. What I can tell you is, well, it's comfortable. It handles tidily, but it does not drive with the kind of enthusiasm or exuberance that we had traditionally come to expect from BMWs. This car is fast, make no mistake about it, right? Right now, most of the time, as I am navigating urban traffic conditions, you never really need to exert the motors to anywhere more than 25% of their outputs, because you push it beyond that, this thing just explodes. The pace, the way it accelerates, it's explosive. It's outright explosive. But you won't use that, okay? You won't use that. What you want is, it's a car that on day-to-day driving, it's, as long as all you really need is maybe about 20-30% of the throttle travel. That's it. But the good news is that BMW has tuned the throttle that the initial travel of 20-30% is relatively easy enough to modulate, that the car's acceleration, deceleration all behaves pretty linearly. Now, one aspect about driving EVs is that requires your active participation is how you set your recuperative braking. Okay, because when you set your energy recuperation to high, the car basically drives like it's on one pedal mode. You step on the accelerator, it goes. But once you release, the energy recuperation is on full. So what happens is that the car is actively converting its kinetic energy back to electricity, and that basically, it's almost as if as soon as you release your accelerator, the car is braking already. All right, so depending on the situation, you do need to actively switch between high energy recuperation and low energy recuperation. When you have low energy recuperation, what the car does, that it allows you to coast a bit more. So when you release the accelerator pedal, the car just coasts, right? The motors just disengage. So it's almost like driving a regular combustion engine car. When you release the accelerator, the engine just basically goes down to almost like idle mode. But the thing is this, because you do not know when your next opportunity to recharge your car will come, you also want to use a bit of energy recuperation every now and then. So that is when you need to judge, based on the driving situation, when do you want energy recuperation and when you do not. Because when you have low energy recuperation, the car feels more natural. But when you have high energy recuperation, what it means that you have to be a bit more mindful with your throttle applications. And when you release the throttle, you have to do it gradually as opposed to just suddenly lifting off. Because when you suddenly lift off, what will happen is that the car, you will just have that jerking sensation as the energy recuperation mode kicks in. So now our previous encounter with the iX was in the eDrive50 Sport trim. So visually, the car you see here and the one before, they are practically identical. So what are the unique touches of the Sportline trim? Well, to recap, Sportline gets you laser headlights as opposed to LED headlights in the standard trim. You get a more elaborate front bumper design, not full-on M Sport, but more blacked out areas here. You also get this more elaborate 22-inch multi-spoke alloy wheels, complete with M Performance discs behind, compared to 21 inches in the base iX. Now, one small little differentiating touch between the eDrive50 here and the eDrive40 that we experienced earlier are these gold highlights at the base of the window line, at the door handles, and also at the front grille. In the eDrive40 that we drove earlier, this is finished in gloss black. Okay, back here looks almost the same, nothing new to see, but of course I do also want to show you once again how the iX, because BMW is very proud of the fact that they built the iX with a full carbon fiber structure. They have left a lot of structural carbon fiber areas, like here, the boot frame, the door frame, all exposed for you to see. So just like the exterior, the inside of this iX is pretty much the same as I showed you in an earlier video. So for today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the few cool key features that I discovered during my last few hours driving this car. Now, of course, we will start with the parking camera, and I've always said before, when it comes to parking cameras, 360-degree cameras, Mercedes and BMW, they make some of the best camera systems in the market. Now, just to declare, I'm filming this right now in the close confines of EvoClub Car Wash, so don't say I'm playing with phone while operating the car and all that. Now, one thing is very clever is that, so right now I am in drive. I'm going to put this to reverse. And this is very clever, right? So as I reverse, I have this 360-degree view, bird's eye view, and also I have the dedicated reverse camera. But watch what happens when I turn the steering. The angle of the camera actually shifts to one side. Now the car is not moving. I turn my view. All right. Watch how the angle of the reverse camera turns. Similarly, now I'm putting the transmission to drive. Now it's showing me the front camera angle. And as I turn the wheel, the front camera turns too. That's pretty cool. So here at the door card, two notable things that I would like to explore. Number one, the door opens at the press of a button. And two, well, BMW finally took something off Mercedes's playbook and put the seat adjustment to the door. And actually, I've noted this before in one of my reviews of a Mercedes, is that the door, even though it's not common, is a smart place to put the seat adjustment, because what it means is that you can pre-adjust the seat before getting into the car. Another thing to show you down here is the light control has been simplified to just the press of a button. Whether you just engage auto on or off, that's it. So here the center console is a very simple two-story center console, right? This is a clever slot for you to drop your phone. And here, well, I like the way this wooden finish is done. Very, very nice open pore wood. Just hope that the fonts up here can tahan the wear and tear. One unique touch, this being the sport model, is that you get all these controls as well as the seat adjustment in this crystal form. Right, but that aside, you see this dashboard here is actually pretty bare, very minimalist. And this, it would seem, is the future, right? Very few buttons, a lot of screen, and a lot of voice command integration in the controls. So there's no physical controls for the air conditioning system, which can be overcome if you have a good voice command system. So if you want to press buttons, you press the climate menu and you can adjust all the climate controls. But I want to test the voice command function. Hey BMW, set aircon 24 degrees.
I will set the temperature to 24 degrees Celsius everywhere.
If you still prefer to stretch your hands out, at least the aircon screen is laid out pretty intuitively. So I will revisit that. Let's say like now I'm back at the home screen, right? Whatever mode I'm in, I just fire this one time and the contact area is large enough that I can reach for it and press pretty intuitively. It is a somewhat well-refined climate control, but I personally still can't get over this design. Please ignore this this blinking LEDs. Those are, I believe, for the fatigue detection system. So despite all the brickbats that it has received from critics, there is no doubt that the iX has been a very successful product by BMW. It's a very popular product. I see these cars on the road everywhere. They are literally everywhere. And the question as I wanted to answer at the start of this video, is the eDrive50 worth that 150,000 ringgit premium over the eDrive40 Sport? And my answer is that the eDrive50 Sport is really the best value version in the iX range. Price-wise, it's the middle child, but cruising range-wise, this is the iX with the longest cruising range. The M60 model gives you more power but sacrifices a bit of the cruising range. This one gives you a greater cruising range, which at the end of the day is the most important parameter when evaluating the worthiness of an EV. Because let's put it this way, when it comes to driving, I still prefer driving an internal combustion car any day, right? I still enjoy the sensation of the engine revving, gears changing and all that. But when it comes to using a car as a mode of transport, right, for me to get from one engagement, one meeting, you know, picking up my kids, an EV is a much more pleasant proposition. Why? Because I am not driving for my recreation. I am driving for my business. I am getting from place to place with tasks in mind to accomplish. So what I need in this kind of circumstance is a vehicle that gets me from point A to point B to point C to point D with a minimum of fuss, and that is exactly the kind of experience that EVs offer. Because let's put it this way, when you are stuck in a traffic jam, Jalan Kuching, Jalan Sultan Ismail, everybody's on a standstill. So what if your engine can rev beautifully, sing to the red line, 5,000, 6,000 RPM? The EV right next to you is sitting there, same, quiet, right? So like you see right now, in this circumstance, the car in front of me is just ambling along at 50 kilometers per hour. Whether I have the 300 horsepower of the eDrive40 or the 500 horsepower here of the eDrive50, doesn't make a difference. Or do I have the 600 horsepower of an M5 with a burbling V8 in front? It's the same. It's no difference. But the thing is, because right now I am on my way to pick up my daughter from her art class, sending her to my mother's house, and then after that I need to go to the car wash, having an EV allows me to get all that sorted, right, with the least amount of stress, least amount of noise. And when I reach my destination, I am still in a relatively fresh physical state because I am not tired, because I am not having to deal with all the vibrations and whatnot from a combustion engine car. And the thing is, because I also have that added range anxiety also is totally out of the picture. So yeah, the iX, this is not a pretty car. It does not drive like the BMWs that we know, but well, when BMW made this car, they obviously know a thing or two about consumer taste that we don't. It's a hugely successful product, and yeah, the eDrive50 here, this is really, at least in the context of the Malaysian market, is the pick of the lot. So those are my thoughts of the BMW iX eDrive50. Do share with me your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'm particularly interested to know, what do you think when it comes to buying an electric vehicle? Is range the most important criteria in your consideration, and how much of a premium are you ready to pay for a bit longer range? Okay, let me know in the comment section below, and of course, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you have not already done so. Do check out the channels of all my other Horizon team members as well. Remember that every Monday night, Bobby, Tana, Thomas, and myself are live on Facebook and YouTube to take your car buying questions. You can connect with me personally on Telegram or on Instagram. I'm putting down the links in the description section, or right here you can scan this QR code to join my Telegram group. And of course, if you need car care, car detailing, car washing services, you can always contact the EvoClub Car Wash team to find out our latest offers and promos. And if you need to renew your car insurance, you can save up to 40% on your gross premium with EvoClub Insurance. There's a link down in the description section below where you can renew your insurance right now. Okay, so that's it from me today. Until my next video, take care, stay safe, and I will see you soon.